Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. Today's presentation is about uniform bodies, and since the previous group has introduced it in general, I believe that everyone is aware and are well introduced to the topic in general. So I'm going to introduce it a little bit more. Uniform bodies are a part of co-curricular activities that is compulsory for every student in Malaysia to follow. Every single one of us here has been a part of a uniform body, so I believe that everyone knows more or less about the activities and likes. So I'm not going to go too much into that. But have you ever wondered how uniform bodies in our school was created? I mean, who decides what a uniform bodies a school should have? The reason I ask is because when I was still in school, I thought that every school in Malaysia have the same uniform bodies and clubs and sports. But when I meet people from other schools and find out that they have uniform bodies that I didn't even know exist, I was kind of surprised and I do wonder why. For your information, I believe there are 3 categories of uniform bodies, which are ministry bodies, non-governmental body, and martial arts. Before we get into more details, let's take a look at the list of uniform bodies in Malaysia by the Ministry of Education. I don't know about the rest of you, but there's quite a few uniform bodies that I've never heard before. And it's interesting to know. For example, Joyful Vanguard? So, to answer the question, in order to establish a uniform body in a school, there's actually a lot of paperwork and process that needs to be followed thoroughly. First of all, the principal needs to identify the uniform units to be established in the school. And then he or she needs to appoint a teacher leader or advisor who is directly responsible based on the recommendations of senior assistant curriculum. And then the principal needs to sign the letter related to registration as the organizing authority responsible for the establishment of uniform units and apply for registration with an affiliated unit. Next, the senior assistant curriculum needs to obtain or make a constitution book for each uniform unit, and then monitor and ensure the registration of uniform unit. Next, uniform unit coordinator needs to brief the advisory teachers of each uniform body and prepare the registration requirement form. And finally, the teacher advisor or leader needs to prepare the registration of uniform unit members and complete uniforms and equipments, and also conduct activities throughout the year based on the syllabus and rules in the constitution book of each unit. And then the school needs to send a registration letter, and this is the example. If the registration is approved, the school will receive a letter of approval like this. And then the school needs to send another letter for verification. After all of the process has been done, then the school will be able to put out application for members to join the uniform units and conduct activities. Quite a lot of work. So that is the introduction for uniform bodies. For the rest of the presentation, we are going to discuss about uniform bodies, policy and practice, the implications, issues, some suggestions, and Q&A session. So let's move on to the first point.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. My name is Adriana Christina. Alright, now moving on to the policy and practice. Now there are 2 policies that we'll be going through just on the surface, which are the policy of co-curricular activities stated in the Ministry of Education and also policy in establishing uniform bodies. According to the School Division 1991, co-curricular and sports programs are complementary to the main curriculum and aim to develop students' cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains to achieve planned and improved educational goals. Now, to put it simply, by implementing these activities, it will indirectly polish up students' skills such as social skills, leadership skills, critical thinking skills, and many more. So there are 11 major shifts to transform the country's education, which are listed in the Malaysian Education Development Plan 2013 to 2025. And I am going to talk about the third shift, which is to develop values-driven Malaysians. So there are many ways on how to develop values-driven Malaysians listed in the blueprint, and one of them is by developing students holistically by reinforcing the requirement for every student to participate in one sport, one club, and one uniform body. Now, because these students will eventually leave school at the end of Form 5, it is one of the aims of the Ministry of Education to equip them with a set of skills that they are able to get by involving themselves in these activities before they leave school. As mentioned previously, by ensuring that these students are involved in all of the programs or activities, they are able to develop their individual talents or interests outside of the traditional classroom. So these activities and programs are considered as great opportunities for them to, polish up whatever they have. Okay, so you may wonder, how is the participations of students in the co-curricular activities relevant to the students' future? Well, the Ministry of Education is smart. They will make it a requirement, they will make the participation a requirement for them to graduate and also for them to apply for scholarships for future education. Okay? Now, aside from that, rewind. Aside from that, to improve the quality of these activities offered in each school, the Ministry of Education will also provide targeted training for the teachers who act as advisors for these activities. And they will also partner up with more community organizations and also the private sector in the delivery of these programs. So the next policy that we'll be talking about is the policy in uniform bodies. Okay, as stated in the Government Gazette Act 1998, principal or headmaster is directed to set up uniform bodies in school based on Regulation 11 in Education Regulations, School Clubs or Societies 1998. They are also given the autonomy to direct any societies, including uniform bodies, to adhere to the administrative procedure, activities, memberships that are related to society or clubs. The next one is the practices. Okay, so this topic will also be divided into two parts, which are the practices of co-curricular management and also the practices of uniform bodies in schools. So let's take a look at the first one. Alright, so the diagram here is retrieved from a research titled The Daily Co-Curricular Management Practices in a Secondary School. Now, according to this research, there are 6 practices in managing co-curricular activities. Okay, so the first step is planning. Now, planning is the most crucial step in this in managing all these activities. Okay, once the plan has been approved, the teachers will then organize the activities based on the approved plan, such as scheduling appropriate dates for certain activities and whatnot, and at the same time following the objectives and goals of each co-curricular unit in the school. And of course, to implement these activities, the school will need to have people who have the leadership skill in managing these activities. Okay, so once the programs and activities are handled, the teachers will also need to know how to control the situation, or in this case, the activities. Okay, they have to control it by monitoring for further improvements and also in cases of emergencies, such as the students being injured during the activities. In implementing these co-curricular activities, they do not mean that the teachers can just sit back and relax and not having to step up their game. It also means that staff training are required for the teachers to be well equipped with a lot of knowledge regarding the activities that they are supposed to advise on. Okay, finally, it is crucial to build relationships with external communities such as the parents for moral support and guidance. Alright, so we have come to the end of my part, which is the practices of uniform bodies in schools. And honestly speaking, I don't really remember how many hours per week that I had to attend for my co-curricular activities, because that was years ago. So these are the informations that I managed to gather from the internet. Okay, so the time allocated for the co-curricular activities to be held is 120 minutes per week for Jurusan Teknik dan Vocational, and 180 minutes per week for other schools such as the Daily School, SBP, and many more. Okay, and it is also a priority that the meeting of uniform bodies be met up to 12 times per year. Okay, so considering that now it is the pandemic and the students are having their PDPR, they are made compulsory to come to to attend the meetings for 5 times per year. Okay, back then it was 12 before the pandemic, and now it is just 5 times per year. Alright, other than that, this is, we're talking about before the pandemic, the students are made compulsory to attend the Mesyuarat Agung to appoint the members, and also every Wednesday they are allowed to wear a full set of attire of their uniform body. Okay, An additional note that I would like to add is that if the teachers or students did not manage to participate in any of the co-curricular activities without any solid reasons, disciplinary actions or jail time will be taken upon them based on the acts stated. Okay, so thank you. That is all from me.
Hi, I'm Shifa Shukrabiti Julaspi, and I'm going to explain about the implication of uniform bodies towards the students. As everyone knows, Asia is a country that currently works towards becoming a developed nation, especially in terms of economy, infrastructure, and education. Therefore, for the country to possess skilled human capital, Dato Sri Najib Tun Abdul Razak stressed that students should be involved in co-curricular activities carried out by the institution in order to become a student with excellent soft skills and ability to lead our country to achieve further development. In line with this statement, the government has decided to assess public university applicants based on their academic achievement, which is 90%, and co-curricular involvement, which is 10%. This move means that a student who only excels academically by scoring all A's will no longer be guaranteed a place in a university. However, a combination of academic excellence and active participation in non-academic activities like sports and competition will enable them to stand a better chance of securing a place in the university. Thus, the implication of these extracurricular activities, especially uniform bodies, can help in developing students' potential as a holistic mission. One of the purposes of this uniform bodies establishment is to address issues of misconduct among adolescents, such as substance abuse, truancy, and juvenile culture. Other than that, through research conducted on the implication of uniform bodies in school, it is found that leadership skill can be trained through uniform bodies among students who have involved in the uniform bodies activities. Former Education Minister Dato Sri Hishamuddin bin Tun Hussein, in an article entitled Aiming for Complete Student, states that the new approaches to boost participation and explains why being active outside the classroom is crucial. One of the key reasons mentioned is uniform bodies activities can help build teamwork, mental and physical endurance, problem solving, leadership, and other skills among students. For instance, in uniform bodies, a student may hold important positions such as chairman, secretary, and so on. When students engage in uniform bodies activities, they will be exposed to the leadership style in a group or organization. By participating in various activities, students will learn to deal with different situations and nurture their leadership skills that will prove valuable in the future. And with this type of exposure, students learn how to become a credible leader at a young age. So this is a good way to train up students who will one day become competent and capable leaders in the industry. In addition, students pick up soft skills which are an added skill to their academic excellence. It can be said that an excellent student is one who does well in both curriculum and co-curricular activities. So, through the participation of uniform bodies, students can develop their personal development in psychomotor learning, along with emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being. In addition, these activities help to develop potential talents or interests of students in various activities. On the academic side, the uniform bodies also exposes students to skills in planning, leadership, and supervision to achieve excellence in all areas. Many values that the government hopes to inculcate in students cannot be derived solely from books or theories. So students need to be exposed to real life outside the classroom. Therefore, this is the key reason why uniform bodies activities are important for the students in enhancing their learning experience. These activities that are carried out in a planned and practical manner can mold students into well-rounded people who are balanced emotionally and intellectually. So, that's all for the implication. Next is the issues relating to uniform bodies.
Greetings, my name is Amrina Rashada binti Muhammad Said. Hi, I'm Amrina. Now I'll talk about the issues relating to the uniform bodies in school. There are three parties that are directly affected by the issues of uniform bodies in school, which include the school authorities, the teachers, and the students. Firstly, let's focus on the school authorities. School authorities that are involved in uniform bodies are the principal and the co-curricular senior assistant. They play important roles to ensure co-curricular activities in school, including the uniform bodies, is implemented accordingly. The issue is, some schools authorities lack interest in uniform bodies and do not see the importance of uniform bodies for the students and the school itself. Hence, they only focus on the activities related to academic aspect and pay less attention to non-academic like the uniform bodies activities. This will directly affect the productivity of every uniform body in school if the authorities take this matter lightly. The most current issue relating to the uniform bodies is the school authorities disregard the Ministry of Education's guide in implementing the activities during COVID-19 pandemic. According to an article on Berita Harian Pendidikan, the Ministry of Education have issued a notice or perkeliling dated 25th June 2021 for all schools regarding the co-curricular activities, whereby they should only have 15 co-curricular activities meetings in a year instead of 36, like before the pandemic. So this means each uniform body, society, and club will only have 5 meetings in a year. Nevertheless, there are some schools authorities that refuse to follow the guide issued by the Ministry of Education. And they even force teachers to hold online co-curricular activities meetings every week, like how it has always been before the pandemic. The teacher also reports that students' involvement in online uniform bodies activities has decreased over time since it was first implemented. So from this article, we can see that the school's authorities' decision to dismiss the Ministry of Education's guide has impacted everyone who are involved in a negative way. The teachers are feeling stressed out due to unnecessary extra workloads. Meanwhile, the students are tired and getting less interested in uniform bodies activities as they are already overwhelmed with online learning at home. Next, the issues relating to the uniform bodies among teachers. First, lack of knowledge. Teachers may not have adequate knowledge of the specific uniform bodies assigned to them. This is definitely challenging for the teachers to teach and guide the students when they are not equipped with the knowledge themselves. Secondly, lack of interest. Teachers who lack interest in uniform bodies may overlook the importance of uniform bodies activities for students and do not teach students the uniform bodies syllabus. This is one of the main reasons as to why some uniform bodies in school are very active conducting various activities. Meanwhile, some uniform bodies just simply exist in the school. Relating to the issue of the school's authorities, teachers are being forced by the school authorities to conduct more curricular activities despite receiving the guide, notice or perkeliling from the Ministry of Education to reduce the number of meetings and activities. It has caused teachers to experience stress due to overwhelming workload during COVID-19 pandemic because it is harder to conduct classes and activities through online platform. Due to the pandemic, co-curriculum activities including uniform bodies activities cannot be held as usual. Everything must opt to online. Thus, the school authorities and teachers are facing issues to organize suitable activities for uniform bodies through online means and to engage students more actively in activities being conducted online.
With the issues relating to the uniform bodies among students. The first issue is lack of knowledge and skills in certain areas of uniform bodies. All uniform bodies have a specific activity and specialization. For example, Red Crescent. Its activities include health work, social welfare, relief for victims of armed conflicts and natural disasters, etc. Even though the students are guided and taught the skills, some students just seem to lack of the skills needed for the activity. The next most common example that I can use is marching or kawat kaki. I believe most of uniform bodies will include marching in their daily activity, and based on my personal experience, majority of students dislike marching activity. They might not see the point in the activity, and again, because they lack the knowledge and skills, they don't know why they're doing the activity, thus it hinders them from perfecting those certain skills. And this issue is related to the second issue, which is lack of interest in uniform bodies' activities. As I've mentioned previously, when students can't see the point of doing something or they lack the knowledge and skills for some activity, they will naturally lose interest, and this will be difficult for the students to enjoy or participate in uniform bodies activities, despite the benefits it actually brings. Next issue is online learning. It's challenging enough for educators and students to do online classes, but imagine co-curricular activities online. The activities require students to do something. It's a hands-on practice. It's difficult to benefit from the activity when it's being done online. I remember last year during my sister's first semester in UiTM, she joined Ksatria, which is compulsory for every first semester students, and she actually had to march online. I know this is not school-based, but it's still a co-curricular activity that had to be done online, so it proves how challenging it is to actually think of a task or activity that is appropriate online. The last issue is being absent during the activity. A lot of students are absent mostly due to time and financial. Students have their own schedule after school or class hours, and they might have to go to extra class, tuition, or they might not have transportation to go back to school for co-curricular activities. Regarding the financial, the uniforms are not cheap, and some students can't afford to buy the uniforms. Thus, they are unable to participate, or they feel embarrassed because they do not have uniforms to wear like their other friends. So this affects the students' self-esteem as well. That is all from us today. Thank you for listening, and we hope that all of the information given on the uniform bodies are helpful and are informative enough. So before we end our presentation, we're going to answer some quizzes.